If you've ever stepped on a literal landmine like I have, then you know just how dangerous they can be. Today, I'm bringing you 10 players that I believe are metaphorical landmines in this year's 2026 fantasy football draft. These are big name players, and these are bombs that could blow up your entire year. It doesn't mean you can't still win, but if one of these players does blow up on you, it's gonna be like climbing an uphill battle with one leg, which is what happened to me when I stepped on the literal landmine. This is First in Fantasy. My name's Sam Dietz. Let's get started. The first player I want to talk about today is Jonathan Taylor, currently being drafted in round 1. I think Jonathan Taylor is an excellent player, but we saw just how exposed his value became last season when Daniel Jones went down. Daniel Jones has always been an underrated dual threat quarterback. The Colts were utilizing Daniel Jones's legs, and it was opening up massive holes for Jonathan Taylor, who was exploiting them to their max. Daniel Jones is back this year, but he's coming from a brutal injury, and I'm just really not sure that mobility is going to be there. I believe defenses are going to be encroaching the line of scrimmage, trying to stop Jonathan Taylor, and seeing if Daniel Jones solely with his arm can beat them, which I don't think he can. Taylor had 323 carries last year and 18 touchdowns. Most of that production came before Daniel Jones got hurt. I'm not doubting the talent, but if defenses wise up to the Colts game plan, then Jonathan Taylor could blow up your draft, especially if you're taking him in the first round. He needs everything to go right for him to meet his current ADP, which is why, if I can, I'm avoiding Jonathan Taylor in the first round. The next player we're going to talk about is Drake London. He is currently being drafted in round 2, and all of these draft rounds that we're estimating is half PPR. Drake London, a guy who got a little banged up last season, and I absolutely believe in the talent. I don't think he's elite top 5, but I think he's right outside of that, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think he's not the same type of player, but a Mike Evans level, and he could have that sort of consistency for the next 5 years and have a really solid career. It's not necessarily Drake London I'm worried about. I am worried about the 2 left-handed quarterbacks currently dueling out for the top spot in Atlanta. You've got Michael Penix Jr. and you've got Tua Tagovailoa, 2 quarterbacks who are non-mobile, who are average, I would say, maybe slightly above average or slightly below average given the day, given the situation. I don't love that as far as upside for him. Now, here's the plus on Drake London. You have Kyle Pitts there that can help detract defenses. You have Bijan Robinson, the most versatile and best running back in the NFL. There's going to be like 8 guys at the line of scrimmage with a spy on him on every single play. So Drake London is going to have the opportunity to get open. My big question mark though is, what if the Falcons are back and forth on quarterback? They can't decide who or what. If both of these quarterbacks are feeling like they could get pulled at any point, then they're probably going to revert to more checkdowns and short yardage type of stuff. And also with the injury concerns, I just don't know if I'm loving Drake London as round 2 as my top wide receiver likely. He could very well end up in a situation like Justin Jefferson was in last season. A few different quarterbacks are taking over throughout the season. He can't gain chemistry with them. The quarterback play isn't good, and it leads to a really bad season. We don't leave that season saying Justin Jefferson is bad. What happened to him? And we wouldn't do that with Drake London, but the situation's just too sketchy. Avoid him if you can. On to our third player, and that is Ashton Jeanty, currently being drafted in the second round. This guy was going in the first round of drafts last season, which I thought was insane. If you watch my other video where I talk about 15 secrets to winning your draft, one of them is to not draft rookie running backs on bad teams. I can't tell you how many drafts I was in last year. Everybody was taking this guy because of his hype from Boise State. Listen, he was a generational prospect, but also remember when he was at Boise State, they had a cupcake schedule. Most of those teams he was running through were not elite defenses in college. Now, I'm not putting any of his failures last year on him. He got hit behind the line of scrimmage 55% of the time. That was a league high. And this year they get Kirk Cousins and or Fernando Mendoza. They lose Jacoby Myers at the end of last season, who was their best wide receiver. They really don't have any receiving threats. And I'm not sure either of these quarterbacks, the super veteran or the super rookie, is elite enough to keep defenses honest. I see teams still stacking the line of scrimmage, still trying to just stop that run game. And I just don't see how the situation has gotten that much better for Ashton Jeanty. Yes, people aren't drafting him in the first round now. They're drafting him in the second. It's still really, really pricey for me for a guy who's unproven in an awful organization with a scheme that we have no clue what it's going to look like. To me, Ashton Jeanty is more of a 4th round guy. So I really think he's one of the biggest mistakes that people are making in this draft if you're taking him in round 2. You could easily find yourself in weeks 4 or 5 and he might have 1 touchdown and be getting 60, 70 yards a game. You're like, I spent a 2nd round draft pick on this guy. Boom, blew up your draft. Next, we're going to be talking about Malik Nabers, wide receiver 1 for the New York Giants. Lot of question marks around Malik Nabers. I thought he was a phenom. I thought he was a star. I think everyone did. He was bursting onto the scene, but that was a bad injury that he had. Knee injuries especially concern me. I can tell you as a former athlete myself, it is difficult to get that full explosiveness back. We don't know when he's going to be back. We get a new coach in John Harbaugh who typically likes to spread the ball around to his wide receivers and tight ends. He's never been a guy who relies heavily on a single wide receiver. I could also very well see the Giants relying heavily on a 2 running back system this year. Very similar to what John Harbaugh has done with most of his years in Baltimore. You also have some question marks. If Malik Nabers tries to come back too soon, if he tweaks that knee, if he re-injures it, I could see them holding him out throughout the rest of the season. That is very, very scary. Do you want to be drafting a player in the 3rd, even high 4th round that you don't get to utilize for the first 6 weeks? And maybe if you get him back, you only get him for a few weeks until he's re-injured. It's just too sketchy. There's too many question marks around Malik Nabers right now. He is definitely a landmine I'm trying to avoid in drafts this year. If he falls to the 6th round, sure, I'll take a flyer on him, but right now he's going too high for me. Next, we're going to be talking about McConkey, currently going in rounds 4 to 5. I just don't love the upside of McConkey. He reminds me the most of a Jacoby Myers type. Running out of the slot, but has a really diverse route tree, but he's typically going to be in that like 40 to 80-yard receiving range, and he's not a big end zone target. He's a smaller dude. The Chargers spread the ball around a lot. We know they're going to rely on defense. We know they're going to run the football. Jim Harbaugh, talking about the Harbaughs today, I don't know why, he also spreads the ball around and doesn't tend to utilize one receiver explicitly. McConkey was a big letdown last season, and this was one of the reasons why. I just don't know if you want to be putting this guy in your lineup every week. Going and getting 5, 6, 7 points, I don't know. It just isn't sexy enough for me. It doesn't have enough upside. It feels like a player you're going to be trying to get rid of after 4 or 5 weeks, but nobody's going to want him because he's just not productive enough. He doesn't have enough in him to win you matchups, to win you weeks. While I like Ladd as a player, representing all the white slot wide receivers out there, I just don't want him on any of my rosters. Next, we're going to be talking about Terry McLaurin. 2 years ago, this guy had a monster season, finally got a good quarterback in his career in Jaden Daniels, and he blew up. And then he complained all offseason, and he got his big contract, and what did he do last season? Freaking nothing. He showed up a little bit towards the end, and I'm not going to put it all on him as Jaden Daniels was hurt off and on most of the season, but I will say that Terry McLaurin is getting older. I think we really did see his peak 2 years ago. Congrats to him for securing the bag, and I do think getting another veteran in Stefon Diggs is going to give Terry McLaurin a little bit more freedom across the field. But I do not like the run game for the Commanders. I don't think Jaden Daniels is going to be utilizing his legs as much after his injuries. The running backs aren't great otherwise. And McLaurin to me just feels like too boom or bust. And I think his boom, his upside is not high enough. I think a huge week for him might look like 16 points in a half PPR format. And I think we could see a lot of weeks with him at 4 or 5 points. He's just not a guy I feel confident rolling out there every week. I suppose if you could get him and Stefon Diggs in a stack for real cheap when you went 0 wide receivers, that's something considering the Commanders have an awful defense. They're going to be playing from behind, so I don't mind that strategy entirely. But paying a 5th round price tag and locking him in as a solo starter every week, just don't love it. Next, we're going to be talking about Jughead himself, Cam Skattebo. Skattebo. This guy already looks like he has 10 concussions. Every time he scores a touchdown, he smashes his head against something, and he might have another concussion. I think I saw him get hit with a chair in the head last week on WWE. I don't know what this guy is doing. And that's not to hate on Cam, because I think he's freaking hilarious, and he's entertaining, and he's a football guys. Like, we need more guys like this in the NFL who are a little crazy. Kind of like Jon Favreau from The Replacements. That's who this guy reminds me of. Here's the problem. As passionate as he is, as much as the fan base loves him, and this is just my personal opinion, I don't think the Giants need to get him. I actually think Tyrone Tracy is an excellent running back. I actually think he's better than Cam Skattebo. And I think with John Harbaugh there, who absolutely loves to run dual and try-back running back systems, I think those two running backs are going to be way more of a 50-50 split this season. And Cam Skattebo is also coming back from his freaking ankle leg just being foot snapped like halfway across. Like, we all saw that last season. It was brutal. So I just wonder how good he's even going to be in this system. The re-injury concerns could be very real. People are taking this guy in rounds 4 and 5 just because he's a fun, exciting player to watch. That's totally fine if that's what you're going for. If you want to win, avoid Cam Skattebo. This guy's landmine written all over him. All right, 3 players left. Next, we're going to be talking about Mike Evans. Veteran receiver now with the 49ers. Now, silver lining with Mike Evans, I'll say right now, is Ricky Pearsall looks like he's already ruled out for the rest of the season. So more targets for Mike Evans. Here's the problem. Mike Evans is 33 years old. He started getting injured last season. He's already gotten injured in the preseason, and I'm very, very concerned for him. He's kind of reminding me of Julio Jones when he finally left the Falcons and he went to the Titans, and you were like, oh, this guy, he's going to be their wide receiver 1. He's still a vet. And it's like, dude, I don't know if he has it anymore. And like, when he was healthy and playing last year, he did have it, but I'm just worried about those injuries. I can see his snap share being closer to like 50, 60%, being asked to win some red zone targets, maybe some big jump balls downfield, some crucial first downs, but I just don't think he's going to come in and play a pure alpha in that scheme. If you also take a look at his yards after catch over the last few seasons, as well as his overall catch rate, they have been declining year over year. I've always loved Mike Evans, but he's a dude I am out on this season. A round 5-6 price tag is just way too expensive for this guy. If you can get him in the maybe 7th, 8th round, sure, take Mike Evans. But there are much better guys in those rounds. Next, we're going to be talking about Quinshon Judkins. Sweet freaking name, man. He had some legal troubles to start the season last year. That's all gone. When he came back, he was the dude. I am a believer in the talent. I am not a believer in the situation. The Cleveland Browns, it feels like they are in the headlines every week for the wrong reason. Like, if you're deciding between Shedeur Sanders and Deshaun Watson, like, how did you even get there as an organization? How are you even debating this? Like, obviously, Shedeur should be playing. Why did you pick up that creep in the first place, Deshaun Watson? No consistent passing game. When teams figured this out, Quinshon the boxes were loaded against him last season, and he just could not find room to run. He's currently being drafted in round 5 because a young running back, but you really want the starting running back for the Cleveland Browns, a team that's going to be trailing. They just lost the best defensive player in the league in Myles Garrett, who was carrying a lot of the load of that defense. With him gone, do you think the defense keeps games tighter this year than they were able to last year, or is it worse? Yeah, they get Jared Verse, but it's just not the same. They'll be down faster, which means more throwing. If I'm the organization, I wouldn't mind throwing the football. I want to see Shedeur hopefully win the starting role and get a lot of reps as a passer. Let's see if he has upside, but I don't know how good this is for Quinshon Judkins. It's just not a great situation. I like that he's got some cool hair. It's like half brown, half black. Like, that looks cool. I just don't know if it's going to translate to fantasy value. And round 5 is too expensive for me. And last but not least, we're going to be talking about DJ Moore, now of the Buffalo Bills. Listen, there's some DJ Moore truthers out there. I'm not one of them. I've always thought he was an above average receiver, but nowhere near that elite status. His rep is kind of interesting, right? He was in Carolina for a while, and then he goes to Chicago, and he's supposed to be the guy, and now he's going to Buffalo, and he's supposed to be the guy. He's always kind of like, they're saying that he deserves more, and he always seems a little perturbed that he's not considered this elite guy, and he's not treated as this like, dude, get open more, right? Do more with yards after the catch. Like, you're a good player, but he's so mopey all the time. He's so inconsistent. We all saw him just quit on that route in the playoffs last year for the Bears, and that led to an interception which cost them their season. It's like he'd be all in for like a drive or a game, and then the next game it's like you felt like he was walking and quitting on half his routes. He's always been this guy with promise that has never delivered that full elite level. I've seen some people being like, oh my gosh, this is for Josh Allen. He finally gets a guy since Stephon Diggs. This is going to be like Stephon Diggs when he came there. No, Stephon Diggs was entering his prime when he went to Buffalo. DJ Moore's prime was supposed to be in Chicago, and it was mid at best. I don't fully blame him because Caleb Williams is a weirdo, and he's like the least accurate quarterback in the NFL. But that prime is likely past him. I hope this doesn't turn into Amari Cooper going to the Bills, right? From like a season or two ago where it turned into a giant nothing burger that people were excited about. I don't think it's going to quite be that. I think DJ Moore is going to have some value. But the Bills spread the ball around to everybody. That's just their style. Joe Brady takes over as the head coach. He was the OC before. Not much is probably going to change in this game plan, this offensive scheme. And not much needs to. It's been working very well. I just think paying round 5, round 6 price for DJ Moore, I don't love it. I could see him just being a middling piece on a great offense. And I just think he's going to blow up a lot of your weeks with 30 yards, 40 yards, and no touchdowns. Don't love that. Anyways, those are my 10 players I'm calling landmines this season that could blow up your draft and your year. If you stayed this long to watch the video, please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it as we are a new channel. We're releasing videos every single day. Thanks so much. Have a good one.